Please help me. I can't take it anymore. I called my husband, Dominic, while he was on a business trip. I told him that my mother-in-law has bullied me every single day and that I couldn't take it anymore, which is why I called for help. But...
Huh? You know that I'm working right now. You do know that, right?
I could hear how irritated Dominic was over the phone, and I got a little nervous.
As my wife, you're supposed to be patient and endure all the difficulties. So, to be honest, if you're not even aware that you have to be patient or endure such difficulties, then you're not fit to be my wife at all. If you ever call me again just for this, I will not allow you to call me anymore. All right? Don't you dare bother me about these petty things again. And just listen to what my mother has to say. That's all.
And just saying that, Dominic hung up on me without even hearing what I needed to say. I just only wanted him to help me. I cried and dialed again, but my husband never picked up. Oh, finally I see. This man is never going to help me, huh? I closed my eyes while I cried. My name is Bella. I got married to my husband, Dominic, 3 years ago. Dominic was a salesman at the company I had joined as a new employee, and as his direct subordinate, he had taught me many things about the work and how the company ran. At the time, I found him wonderful to work with, so when he began to approach me, I felt really happy. We ended up dating less than a year after I joined the company, and in the winter of my second year at the company, Dominic had proposed. I had actually intended to continue working after we got married, but Dominic refused that I continue working at the company.
A husband is supposed to make things easy for his wife. Besides, it would be more convenient for us if we were thinking about having kids and the future. I could understand his point of view, but I also had my own reasons for wanting to work. I needed to be prepared to give up the career I had built over the years. And above all, I was proud of my current job. In the end, however, my opinion did not go through. I was told to quit work, and I was told to leave the company before I began my 3rd year at the company. Dominic and I had talked about many things before we got married, but the thing he was most concerned about was the house. Both of us had been living alone, but Dominic suggested that we move into a new house when we got married. I'll be responsible for getting our house, so please just terminate the contract for the place that you're living in right now. We've already got the property, so we can move there soon enough. When I asked him questions about what kind of house it was, Dominic never told me anything about it or the details of the house. He said it was a surprise, but for me, I was worried about it. I was worried about what kind of house we would move into, but he had no hesitation in terminating the contract on the place where he lives currently, so I also terminated the contract for my place too. And that was how I was brought into Dominic's parents' house. I complained to Dominic about it, but he just replied in a grumpy manner. My mom has been living on her own ever since my dad passed away a few years ago. Don't you feel sorry for her? She's your husband's family, so don't get so depressed about it.
Even so, wouldn't it be nice to have a word about it beforehand? You should take into consideration about me too.
What the heck? You don't want to live together with my family that much? I've asked a lot of people around me, and no one dislikes the idea as much as you do. So, it seems like you're the one who has a bad personality, huh?
As Dominic said that, he shook his head as if to say that I was the one who was insane. I had so many things I wanted to say back to him, but I already had no job to go back to and no home, so I didn't have enough power to just refuse and leave. Thus, I began my life with my mother-in-law, Abby. Well, actually, living with Abby was a wonderful experience. I often hear stories about wives who are harassed by their husbands' mothers, and I was afraid that Abby would bully me, but she never did that. In fact, I was the one being taken care of more by Abby than me taking care of Abby. I am so happy that a nice girl like you married my son. And I'm so glad that you're going to live with us. I've been so lonely by myself. Thank you. Abby had treated me like her real daughter. She helps me with my share of the house chores, and she's really good at baking, and has taught me all kinds of recipes. Oh, it's like I'm having a real daughter. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm having fun every day. Like this, Abby has never forgotten to thank me. Seeing this wonderful side of Abby, I felt really bad for not wanting to live with her in the beginning. After 3 years of living with Abby, I felt it was time for Dominic and I to move on to the next step. To have a baby. If I got pregnant, Abby would definitely help me, so I wouldn't have to worry. Besides, I wanted to make Abby happy by showing her the face of her grandchild as soon as possible. Dominic, honey, don't you think it's time to start thinking about having a baby soon? When I asked Dominic, he stared at me as if he had seen something he didn't like.
If you really feel that way, why don't you try your best to be attractive more? We've been spending so much time together lately that I haven't been that attracted to you, and I haven't been looking at you as a woman.
I was speechless when he said that to me. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'll do my best, so you should be supportive too, Dominic. You would want to show your own mother the face of her grandchild as soon as possible, wouldn't you? Then Dominic thought for a moment and answered as if he was a little annoyed.
I'm tired from work today. Let's talk tomorrow.
Dominic's nonchalant attitude continued, and he did not seem to be giving the matter any serious thought. He was also coming home extremely late these days. Even though he was a salesman, he was not supposed to work that late, but recently he was coming home very late, around midnight. Hey, aren't you coming home very late these days? With your job, there is no work that requires you to stay that late, is there?
Oh, shut up. You've only been in the company for a few years, so what do you know about my work? I go home tired, and you can't even be grateful for what I do around here.
This is how Dominic has been lately. It feels like a long time ago when we used to get along well with each other. I'm sure that if I let things continue like this, our marriage will collapse someday. But Dominic doesn't seem to have the supportive feelings to even be there for me. Not knowing what to do, I decided to talk to Abby about what has been happening. She took my feelings into consideration and comforted me with kind words. Ah, yes. Then, let's do this. Let's have Dominic worry about you, and maybe he'll be more serious. And what she suggested was that I lie to Dominic and tell him that Abby was bullying me badly. Oh, I can't do that. I can't make you, who has always been so good to me, a bad person. I am happy enough that you feel that way, Bella. Besides, I want to see my grandchild's face as soon as possible, so I want you guys to have a good relationship as a husband and wife. Abby gently persuaded me to go through with the plan to get Dominic worried about me. Dominic was off work that day, but he had gone for a drive to get away from distractions and to get refreshed. I called him at a time when he would be eating lunch, and he answered the phone as if he was a little irritated.
What is it? I'm driving and feeling all good, but then you call me and ruin these goodbyes. Now you're just gonna spoil the fun.
Hey, I actually have something to say that I don't feel comfortable talking to you about at home. Actually, Abby is harassing me very badly. I continued the conversation, acting like I was whispering so people wouldn't hear me. Next to me, Abby was having her hand over her mouth, desperately trying not to burst out laughing. I was looking forward to seeing how my husband would react, but what came out of his mouth were just so shocking to hear.
You're the wife, so you're supposed to put up with it. You're saying that my mom is harassing you, but I think that it's partially your fault for being so useless too, don't you think? You don't even work anyway, you just stay at home, so you at least should put up with it. Also, my mom must be going through menopause, and maybe everything you do is getting on her nerves, you know? The only thing mom's looking forward to is probably harassing you, so just let her do it.
Dominic laughed it off as he said this, and this just left me speechless. Plus, I could hear a woman's voice in the background of our phone call. The only thing that your wife is worth for is for her to take care of your old mother. I heard those words just before I hung up the phone. As I hung up the phone, Abby and I looked at each other. The conversation I had with Dominic was on speaker so that Abby could hear everything we were saying. I can't believe Dominic would say those awful things about you, Bella. I can't believe Dominic would say such a thing about you, Abby. Then we both shouted, "That's absolutely unacceptable." And the woman's voice we heard over the phone was clearly talking to Dominic. When Dominic left this morning, he was saying that he was going for a relaxing drive all day alone, but I never thought that he was there with another woman. I also suspected him of cheating on me, but it's not like he's going to tell me the truth when I question him. I discussed with Abby and decided to go through with pretending of not knowing until we found any sort of proof. A few days later, Dominic suddenly left the house, saying he had to go on a business trip.
I'll be gone for a few days, so please take care of my mom and the house for me. Don't cry if my mom harasses you.
Dominic left the house with a smile on his face, and I could see that this man was not going to the business trip for work. When I tried to call him at night or other times, he wouldn't answer his phone, and when I sent him a message, he wouldn't reply. It seems that he doesn't intend to respond to me at all during his business trip. Taking advantage of this, Abby and I immediately contacted an investigator to investigate about Dominic's affair. And the results of the investigation came out immediately. And our theory was right. And it seemed that he was not very good at hiding his affair, and many photos were taken of him getting along with his mistress in different places. All of these photos were taken during this business trip. When my mother-in-law and I saw the photos of Dominic and his mistress, we could do nothing but just sigh. I don't remember raising him to be that much of a scumbag. I'm so disappointed in that boy. More than the affair, I was angry at Dominic for making Abby feel that way, so I immediately called him. I thought he wouldn't answer anyway, but this time he happened to answer. Dominic, what are you doing now? Aren't you supposed to be at work? I accused him in a pretty direct way, and Dominic yelled back at me, being all surprised.
Of course I'm doing work. I went out of my way to pick up the phone in the midst of my busy schedule. You're such a jerk. Because you're not being inconsiderate like that, my mom harasses you. Say any more nonsense and I'll tell on you to my mom too.
Dominic was still thinking that Abby was bullying me, even though it was a big fat lie. He probably thinks that if he is picking on his wife, Abby would be on his side. But Abby herself was standing next to me, red-faced and angry with Dominic. Dominic, who didn't know about this, was just laughing away, saying terrible things to me.
You accuse me of having an affair, but aren't you doing that because actually you're having an affair and you get worried, right? I wonder who you're with now, Bella. Are you actually with a guy or something? Well, I know that it's not possible, though. You're not that attractive as a woman because, after all, women are all about their charms. You need to learn something about that.
Behind Dominic's laughter, I could hear a woman laughing. With everything Dominic has been saying to me, I got so hurt that I was just about to cry. Dominic! How did you become such a lousy human being? Suddenly startled by his mother's voice, Dominic jumped up.
Mom? You're together with Bella? Why? I thought you two didn't get along.
Unlike you, how can I be on bad terms with such a nice girl? I can't believe you're cheating on Bella and making her so sad like this.
Wait, Mom! First of all, I don't understand what you mean by me cheating on Bella. Bella must have told you lies anyways. I'm on a business trip and this is for work. Please, believe me.
Then, is it okay if we contact the company about it? And immediately, Dominic began to panic even more. To the company, he must have taken a leave for the vacation trip. The business trip was a lie from the very beginning. I can no longer consider a man like you as my son. My love for you as your mother is completely gone. There is no place for you here and you do not have to come back here anymore. Saying that, Abby hung up the phone. As I froze at Abby's yelling, which I had never heard from her before, she gave me her usual gentle smile. Well, let's get ready, shall we? We then immediately began to prepare and leave the house. I sent my important things to my parents' house for now and left only the signed divorce papers onto the table. Abby apparently owned a vacation home which Dominic didn't know about, and I hired a mover to move everything, including the furniture, from there that day. I'm giving this house away. That boy will be spoiled as long as he knows that I am here. I have to make sure he gets a good punishment for the mistakes he made. Abby said this with a smile and also had people to replace the locks on the house. A few days later, Dominic finally came home and was at a loss when he tried to enter the house. He could not get in touch with Abby and I either, and he was forced to sleep in a small hotel for a while. Even when he went back to work, he never got a break. We had reported his affair to Dominic's company as well. When his boss saw the photos of Dominic's affair, he immediately turned pale. Actually, the woman with whom Dominic was having an affair was apparently the daughter of the president of one of their clients. Knowing that the whole company knows, Dominic confessed about his affair. He was immediately sent to apologize and see their client, but there was no way he would be forgiven. It was a major company, but the contract they had were terminated because of what had happened, and that caused tremendous damage to Dominic's company. Everyone at work found out about Dominic's affair, and he resigned a few days later, having lost his place in the company. The last time I saw him was when we were communicating through the lawyer for a divorce and alimony due to his affair. Seeing Dominic becoming so depressed, I realized that if you do the wrong thing, you will always get hurt. I also filed a claim for alimony with Dominic's mistress. And Dominic was also being sued from his mistress. The mistress had also been disowned by her parents and kicked out of their house, so that's why she was suing Dominic. Dominic will have to deal with them now, and he will continue to have a hard time, but I don't really care what happens to him now. Dominic and I are divorced now, but I still kept in touch with Abby. Her vacation home was actually located near my parents' house. I would occasionally visit her and we would eat sweets that Abby made and cashed up with each other. It was a difficult few years, but now that I am having a good time with Abby, I feel that it was all a good learning experience for me. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.